Good evening. It's season 4. Again, we're so happy to be back. I am your host, Cindy Roseanne Jones. We had an extended break and we did miss you. Thank you for tuning in last week. We're happy to be back and excited to bring you up to date on the territory's happenings. Welcome to Cut Deep. It's season 4, episode 2. The concept of Cut Deep was developed with a focus on encouraging the wider public to think more in depth on issues that plague us, encouraging persons to have a voice and to use that voice to invoke change. Cut Deep is an interactive platform cutting through the noise and political rhetoric. It is raw, uncut, challenging you to think critically. What do the issues mean for us? What part do we play? It is a platform that will move the Virgin Islands toward unified, integrated success. I want to welcome back Blossoms Florist as our support sponsor for Cut Deep. I want to highlight and thank those of you who support this platform from behind the scenes. Thank you. Kishma Penn, my favorite go-to co-host, is sitting in with me again tonight for part 2 of Cut Deep in Overdrive. Let's take a quick break and come right back.
Our floral experts use their creative flair to design beautiful and exotic bouquets. We are the on-island wedding experts, and for boating enthusiasts, we can help you to add a touch of floral elegance, life, and color to your yacht, mega yacht, both locally and internationally. We've even worked with celebrities. At Blossoms, we continue to deliver smiles and watch our customers bloom.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of Cut Deep. If you're just joining us, you're right on time. Welcome. It's season 4, episode 2 of Cut Deep. Thank you to our sponsors and supporters for your continued support. As mentioned before we went to the break, I have Kishma Penn, my favorite go-to co-host, hanging out in the studio with me tonight. We're going to catch up on the territory's happenings, just as we did last week in this premiere cut of Cut Deep in Overdrive Part 2. I'm so excited. Kishma, I'm stumbling on my words, but let's dig in. So Kishma, we came back last week, Cut Deep, after about 4 weeks break. I think it was quite an exciting show. I'm happy to be doing part 2. And I really just want to kick into it. My weekend was very disrupted. And I don't like my weekends to be disrupted. I don't like to talk politics on the weekend, but there was such a big fiasco at the seaports, the seaport, the Rotong jetty this weekend. What have you heard?
I heard something about the ferry and long processing lines and taking in. I know the full story, so you
Right.
for me and the full story. But basically what I heard was they created a long line and inconvenience for both the passengers, the staff, the people, everything. And everybody, like, I don't understand why this process can't be more seamless.
Yeah. So on Saturday night, I started getting messages from inside the port. Guests were frustrated. They had gotten in, I think, just after 5. And they apparently were sitting in there for hours. I think just over 100 people came up on the boat. I think the daily allowance is 50. There were some changes that were made that were going to take effect from the 15th. I don't know if that was one of them, where they were lifting the numbers.
Right.
But apparently it was total chaos. People were sitting on the floor. The lines were long. The protocols set up for COVID and distancing and so forth wasn't being realized. You had I understand there was one person in there taking the COVID test for everybody.
So was the problem capacity, like they only catered for typical BVI thing? We cater for 50 people. We change the rules and say we could do 100, but forget we need to step up the infrastructure to support the 100.
It seems like that is what happened. And I understand people were in customs and immigration up to 1 o'clock in the morning. So can you imagine?
From 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, so can you imagine how many hours is that? 7?
That's 6 and change.
Yeah.
You'll be hungry. You'll eat and get hungry again and be tired.
I mean, just
especially if you've been traveling all day.
Just imagine that. Now, for me, it goes back to a few things, right? The public, we continue to call on the Premier to release the tourism plan.
Right.
I personally feel there isn't one, okay? I feel like the only way that, and I'm going to say these are little issues that continue to embarrass us, is because the top is getting into the nitty-gritty. What's going on here is not important. Kishma, when you can spend or put out the kind of money that we saw being put out in checks for people last week, right? And you are letting go people at the port. Well, you're not letting go, you're reducing the hours, you're you know.
As you say, reducing the people.
Where is our priority? Because clearly,
hold on.
1 second, clearly the port was understaffed on Saturday night. They were not prepared to handle. And so they've said they're now going back to the 50 people.
Right.
But I mean, and there's something about, St. Thomas doesn't want us to run more than one boat. Even if you're running one boat and there's 150 people on that boat, just prepare for those people. And that's the problem.
Correct.
They weren't prepared.
Correct.
It was a PR nightmare. It's still going on.
Well, that's a regular thing around here. We just don't ever, we don't prepare. We don't do dry runs. We don't do trial runs. We don't do, I mean, even with the opening of the territory, we could do a soft opening on one of the sister islands or another island to walk out the
test,
kinks and the bugs in the system and find the bugs in the system, so you put plans in place for when certain things happen. We don't do that. We more about, we not a while ain't no good and they gonna leak, but we gonna wait to see when the leak them going to come, and then we gonna
plastering.
What plastering, girl? We gonna plug it with our finger. We plaster costs too much money. We gonna plug it with our finger, and then when the next one come, we gonna plug that one with a finger till we run out of fingers and toes. But then we might buy plaster. But by that time, plaster is no longer
it's gone too far.
Right, plaster ain't the useful fix.
As you know, I worked for the BVI Tourist Board.
Correct.
So I can say comfortably that I've never seen this type of behavior. This unplanned, chaotic. Were there any destination hosts there? Like what I mean, at the end of the day, guests coming in here, what they meet first is a presentation or representation of who we are.
You're provoking a thought there, and we're going to hold that thought, because that thought going to lead to something bigger, but I'm going to reference that later. So I'm bringing that up in conversation. But what I find right now, as we're talking about tourism and the port and the entry, is the low numbers being recorded for all tourism, and somehow they're being celebrated, like that's something to celebrate.
Yeah,
like,
we had 10,000 people come through the airport in the past 6 months. I mean, woo, that's amazing.
When this time of year, which is basically the end of our tourism season and the beginning of slow season, we usually see a few million. We usually floating at a bad season. We either right under the 6 figures or just over the 6 figures. And right now you at 10,000.
Mm-hmm. And we're proud.
And people are unaware. So you're talking about some of the worst recorded seasons in the history of the BVI being between 95,000 to 110,000 at the low end. And we are at 10,000, and we think that we have a tourism product, a viable tourism product.
And I don't even believe those numbers.
That isn't what I don't believe that. I think them inflated.
Of course, I tried to do some calculations based on days and the number of flights coming in, and it still doesn't add up to me. So
I think that's seriously inflated, because think about it. Unless you can afford to a great deal of our tourism comes from the sailing community, which is all about shuttered right now in the BVI.
Yep.
The only thing they're left to do is literally close them doors and nail up the boards, and some of them already have, right? The high-end villas, most of them, only the property owners can afford to stay here for extended time.
Right.
The people who usually come to the high-end villas, they stay a week, 2 weeks. In the first part, our quarantine was very, very long. And then there's certain countries whose quarantine requirements are extremely long. So I really don't think the numbers being justified. I think the inflated one, and even if they're not inflated and they are true numbers, seriously think about it. You had 10,000 when your lowest was 90-something thousand. That's 80-something thousand people you didn't feed. You didn't feed. They didn't rent no rentals. They didn't do any excursion. They didn't go to any hotels. They didn't go in any restaurants. They didn't do anything at all in the BVI that generates revenue for the economy. That's a serious blow.
Yep, we know that. We know that. And it continues to really bother me that we still continue to use monies in the weirdest of places as opposed to increasing staff at the port because it's needed. Not reducing, and I'm bringing it right back around for you, not reducing staff hours, paying port staff, paying HSA, because I'm understanding that they're not getting paid.
Oh no,
so
they've had some funniness going on there.
You just gave out $6.3 million. I mean, we had the whole $40 million worth of stimulus just to buy people, but you know, you just spend that 6.3, and yet here we're being so embarrassed at the port because we're understaffed. We don't know what's going on. We can't even put a destination host down there to welcome. Nothing. It was so embarrassing. I was at what we're talking about, this 6.3, I was at agriculture this morning to see the vet. And as I'm driving up there, you've been up there?
I've been up there.
The buildings are still in ruins.
Yeah.
It is a sad sight up there.
They're still tattooed. There are a lot of places, the greenhouses are completely gone. I hike in that area fairly often, so I know what it looks like.
So Kishma, how do we justify spending? You know, it really irritates me because the minister gets up and he talks about how important agriculture is, how important it is to feed ourselves, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yet, we're repairing the community center in Easton. We're repairing one on Just Van Dyke. We're putting down roads here. We're putting down roads over here. I just don't get it. I heard you have some news from the port.
Yeah, man. I get a little body was nice enough to me and gave me some little information here, which I find real interesting. I already knew that sometime I think it's all year last year or later last year, they got their salaries cut, but I know by exactly how much. So the staff salaries have been cut by 25%. Apparently not all staff. Mostly low-end staff, correct. The shed workers, security guards, you know, some of the administrative staff, things like that. No, they cut their salaries and they turn around and spend $2.5 million to buy land in VG. Then they buy a building in Rotown. Then they buy a brand new speedboat for what reason,
it wasn't
I don't
brand new,
know.
I understand, but $250,000 for a refurbished boat.
Brand new speedboat for Tatola. Whenever you say brand new, in the boating community, we know we don't mean brand new, but brand new for the BVI. Them have 11 brand new plastics still on them for a cliff.
Wow.
Some of the people them done falling into trying to catch up with rent, trying to catch up with different things.
Of course.
And of course, because they're statutory body employees, they're like government employees, they did not qualify for the Social Security or NHI stimulus that people could have filed for last year.
Say why you think they didn't qualify?
Because they're government, they're public officers, they don't qualify. Remember, we didn't qualify. Not
Well,
the,
I wouldn't know. I didn't
not the
apply.
check, the check money, what I'm spending, the money that you could apply from Social Security. And yeah. You did not qualify because remember, if you're a government employee, you are missing a paycheck. So how would you qualify?
You're missing almost half of your paycheck.
You ain't qualify. You ain't qualify according to them. So they ain't qualify. So they ain't qualify, and all of these things happen to them. And then now, after they cut the people them salary, they ain't giving them no raise. Then turn around and hire 10 new people. And then now there's a proposed raise for the board for Ports Authority.
Kishma, girl, stop talking nonsense. Let's just take a break. I'm going to take a quick break to get some of this information from Kishma, and we're going to come right back.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, Sonny.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of Cut Deep. If you're just joining, welcome. It's season 4, episode 2 of Cut Deep. Thank you to our sponsors and supporters for your continued support. I have Kishma Penn, my favorite go-to co-host, hanging out in the studio with me tonight, and we're catching up on the territories happening, and we are doing a Cut Deep in Overdrive Part 2. So Kishma, I went to a quick break, but honestly, like, I'm really disturbed by that. And the port at least attempted to do a PR campaign on the unjustifiable spend at the port and raising duty on us. They tried to justify that, and they said they needed monies and so forth. But you need money, but you're spending on things that you don't need to spend on right now. These forklifts, and you're reducing your staff's pay. Like where do these staff go for help? Do you have any idea?
You mean in the system that...
Can they go to labor?
You mean in the system...
What can they do? Because this is so unfair that you're reducing...
You mean a system that done already structured like the Whistleblowers Act.
Right.
So I must go to labor to essentially complain about the government statutory body treat me a certain way. So I'm going to my boss to complain about my boss. How that does work? as the young people have to say, how that does work? How that does go? We think nothing with the stuff that happened in the government, civil service, the direct civil service, why nothing ever goes reported? You're complaining to the same people then who's part of the problem.
Well, here's the thing, Kishma. I will continue to call for the sacking of the VIP because I think that the BVI is going to hell in a handbasket under this administration. So I will continue to call for their sacking. I want to go back to these lists that came out last week. Well, one list came out, and...
You mean a list that we already get kind of, the list that was said to be inaccurate, but by words said in the House of Assembly You kind of qualify the list in and of itself just by your own breakdown. You mean that list? That list?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
he did not, the premier didn't say that it wasn't real. He said that it was inaccurate.
Okay.
And we know it was inaccurate because we know people that got checks and their names weren't on that list.
Correct.
So we know the list is inaccurate. What we want to know is its authenticity. Is that a real list? Are those numbers real? That's what we want to know. And so the premier tried to, what was Pico calling it? Smoke screens. He threw quite a few smoke screens to say that the list was inaccurate. Well, that sounds really silly. We know it's inaccurate. There's an anti-government political campaign ignited, and you know, they're trying to get rid of us, and it's all about politics. And then the other one was, what was the other one?
Hold on, let's go back to what I said at in the first instance when speaking about this. The list that by her own, when our leader of the opposition put a man to the press in the House of Assembly about the numbers, about the list. By his own admission, he spent over $600,000 on famine in District 1 and over $700,000 on fishing in District 1. He also said that it wasn't necessarily it was for infrastructural development and other support for a lot of these things. Now, by your own admission, the figure overall was $6.3 million. So in your district alone, you spend 1.3 of the $6.3 million in your district alone. Where the fam them in Western? Somebody please show me where they mean. And how Western managed to get, and I ain't saying that Western don't have a fishing community, so I don't come for me. Y'all do have a farming community and a fishing community, but your numbers could never outrank Eastern or Virgin Gorda or any Gorda, especially when it comes to fishing.
Absolutely.
Could never. From when you reach a certain area in Eastern, every house, every man and boy in that house from there straight to the bridge is fishermen, straight down the line.
And they ain't get no money.
And most of them ain't get no money. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
Most of them ain't get no money.
Now, what was interesting to me is the minister for the subject, his position. I think he was in a press conference or something. There was some kind of media around, and they started questioning him. And I'm going to call it throwing the premier under the bus. He basically said, I don't know anything about it. You have any questions about it? Call the premier's office. It wasn't done under his ministry. It was done out of the premier's office. Now, Kishma, here you have the minister for fishing and agriculture, right? How is it that the premier from the premier's office determines, right? He determines who will get this money. Because based on what the minister for the subject is saying is that he had no say, nothing. So I'm assuming that agriculture will have a true list of fishermen and farmers, correct?
Natural resources and labor, probably.
But they would know.
Well, yeah, whomever them fall under.
This comes off under, this comes
I think
out.
it's Shawande ministry now, right?
Shawande is the minister for agriculture and fishing.
Right, yeah, so that's his own now.
It's been his from
oh yeah,
time
yeah,
he was,
I forget that we do the cabinet.
So how is it that these monies are designated out of the premier's office? Where did he get the list of people to give to?
Well, you gotta ask yourself the question.
And was this a list targeting farmers and fishermen? Or was this a list of thank yous or I need to give this person some money, let me do it through this means? Well, I'm not saying that is what happened, but I'm wondering what has happened and what has gone wrong. And again, there are lots of other people that got checks and their names are not on that list.
Correct.
So we're way past 6.3. I'm going to say 6.3 because it's 6.29 something is where that list was at.
Right.
Okay? So I want to feel like we're at the point where the people want the authentic list.
They ain't gonna produce it though.
They're not gonna produce it.
We want it, but they won't produce it.
I've had a lot of messages.
They won't produce it.
I've been reading up on the blogs and everywhere, and the people are demanding to have
Cindy,
all lists. So we're gonna make an appeal
Cindy,
to ask the VIP government.
Them people PR, former PR, whomever running.
They don't have no PR for it.
Whomever the PR person is, they're working overtime right now trying to figure out how to spin back to this story.
They can't.
Because
they can't.
they
And they're not doing a good
list.
job. And they themselves should be fired. But that's another story. The people want to see the list.
Yeah,
Okay?
because
the people keep talking about a march. Up to today, they're in my inbox about a march, and I'm like, a march? What's happening? When is this march? What is it about? The people want to see the list. Okay, and one of the things that really infuriated me when this list came out was, a list was leaked. Well, if we had freedom of information, and when me or you or any other citizen reach out to a government department and ask for information that is rightfully yours that you should see, you can't get it. Okay, this is why we need freedom of information. When you have lists like that coming out, and people are talking about a list leak and people business. If you are conducting business with government, it becomes the people's business.
Yeah, because public
Period.
business.
It's public business.
Especially once money has exchanged hands.
Because
there's a farmer contract, which means there's a record, which means there's a check stub at Treasury, so you can ask the questions.
Yeah. If you do business with government, if you reach out to your...
we don't have no defense contractors, everything that we do could pretty much be public knowledge.
But it is public knowledge. There's nothing we do that can make the BVI fall apart if that information comes out. It's nothing. So we have to know. Okay, and this is a secrecy in the BVI. And I know a lot of the people on that list, they were embarrassed, and I'm glad. Okay? Because a lot of them didn't need it.
Of course.
And people who needed it can't even get $1 to buy bread.
Correct.
Okay, so put out the list. Put out the list. The people want to see the list from Social Security, from the district reps, the business, from trade, the fisher. Well, we've seen that, but we haven't seen the authentic list. We want to see those lists with the government stamp on them.
What information I came about this week gone, since the list leaked until now, two of the persons whose name is on the list, so two varying amounts, basically break down to me, this is what happened to them. They asked for a particular amount. They were told they could only get this. When they collected the check, it had way beyond what they told that they could collect. Therein, after cashing the check, maybe a day or 2 days later, they receive a phone call from the same person who told them they couldn't get beyond this amount, with their hands outstretched now to collect the excess past what they said they was going to award them. And these two individuals said literally the same story in the same area with the same, and in the same district. Now, I ain't gonna put nobody on blast, but that is...
Well,
the simple fact that two different people who name on the list come and tell, I ain't saying that, is
Well,
it leads. I don't doubt what they're saying simply because of my insider knowledge of the mechanisms of this monster. Why I keep telling you about, I know this machine. That's how this machine does operate. So I ain't surprised.
Well, Kishma, you started telling me that story, and I mentioned a name to you, and that name that I mentioned was not one of the names you were talking about, because I got some information like that as well, that they applied for a particular amount. Right. They were contacted and said there was a check there for them. And I don't know if these stories are accurate. I really don't know. But if they are, the BVI is in a very, very dangerous place. And they were contacted, said, you have a certain amount of check here for you, pick it up. They collected it. Only the amount that you applied for, that's what you're going to get. Say the person applied for $3,500. They got a $13,500 check. They cashed the check.
That was a scenario with one of my persons as well.
They given a $3,500 check, and the person took the other $10,000. I don't know. I hope that these matters are being taken to the right authorities. I can only speak about them in alleged terms and information that has come to me. Right. Clearly, some has come to you as well. Right. And this person was given an additional $1,000 to be quiet. So there is a lot going on surrounding these lists. There is a lot of rugadoo. I don't mean to laugh, but when you really think about it, I really pray and hope that these things are just conversation. Just conversation, because that is really, really scary to think about, to know that that is happening. Like that brazen, right out corruption is happening before our eyes, and we know this. And yes, there is a fear. I understand that, but there is some way to unload this information to the authorities. We're going to take a quick break and come right back.
Okay.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of Cut Deep. It's season 4, episode 2. Thank you to our sponsors and supporters for your continued support. I have Kishma hanging out in the studio with me. Today we're catching up on what's going on in the territory. We're discussing part 2, Cut Deep in Overdrive. Yeah, Kishma, we took a break on that, right on that spot, but again, these are things that come to me that really have me concerned about the BVI in the direction and this monster. You continue to talk about how big this monster is, and how can we even begin to fix? I know the BVI will never be a perfect place. There's always going to be, but oh my God.
I'm gonna reference someone I consider a mentor. I'm not gonna mention the individual's name, but
please, okay.
The individual is somebody that I look up to greatly because of what they have done and what they have accomplished, and the legacy that they continue to build for future Virgin Islanders and build on family legacy as well. And just this week, in casual conversation, said, yeah, there's a criminal element in the BVI.
Well, we know that.
There's two of them. There's the government corruption, and then there is the other one where the drugs and the drug trafficking.
Third pillar.
And as he so nicely said, they have a wonderful marriage.
Yeah.
Because the drug trafficking often pays for many a political campaign, which is the story and the ugly underbelly that we don't ever want to talk about. But it's and he followed it up by saying that, you know, we allow it to happen.
Of course.
And we did it to ourselves. And we have nobody to blame but ourselves for the position that we find ourselves in right now. These things, these two, them thing is two monster.
Yep.
Them is two monster. Like a contemporary of mine tell me, it really rang home when I was at my live describing this thing and saying, and it mutated and it got several claws. And he said, yeah, man, you ain't joking. He said, it's true, because it's far reaching. It could do a lot. It could do a lot of damage. Both of them.
It can do a lot of damage.
Both of them.
It is doing a lot of damage.
It's doing a lot of damage.
It has totally ripped the moral fabric of the BVI to shreds. Period.
Correct.
Totally ripped it to shreds. And that's why we have the overflow from our third pillar with the killings in our streets.
Right.
And you just, people are just like, oh my God, what's happening? What do you mean what's happening? We've sat and we've watched this devil for decades. Okay? We've watched and we've looked as the civil service became absolutely corrupt. And when I talk about corruption, I've said to people before, and I've said on this set before, corruption here isn't just about drugs or
Nope.
somebody turning a blind eye and letting a boat come in.
It's the slippery slope that starts with a small thing that builds to a bigger thing.
But it's also civil servants and those running government
Correct.
who sit in these big houses that their salaries can't manage, and so you need to know where the excess money is
Came
coming from.
Correct.
Okay, through
Correct.
government contracts and side deals.
Hold on.
And I'd like to talk about these gatekeepers that we have that, you know, there are people that want to come in and invest in the BVI. And that's a fact. And they can't get past those gatekeepers that need something for you to talk to whoever you need to talk to.
Yeah.
It needs to come to an end, and I don't care if it happens in Africa or America.
The wheels need to be greased, because that's how
correct.
that's how they operate.
Happens,
that's how they do operate.
I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't want it for the BVI.
Well, I'll be honest.
And we look like a third world country for a territory that spends $1 billion every 4 years.
I will be honest with you. I don't have a problem necessarily with the wheels being greased if they were being greased for the sake of the territory. If you said to a future investor, I have no problem letting you have this 10 acres here, you have to adapt 3 of my 27 primary schools within my territory.
That's not greasing a palm.
I don't mind.
That is not greasing a palm, though.
In those regards, because some people would think of it as that.
No, when I talk about a gatekeeper,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
For you to have a conversation with, say, the premier or the minister of whatever subject is relevant to the investment. Correct.
But you know, in those regards, I would have no problem. But my problem is that there is too much of this stuff that's going on.
Exactly.
It don't change.
It's all pastime. It's so embarrassing.
We gaining nothing from it.
Nothing.
And it just keep continuing.
And it continues. We are now living below the poverty line in the BVI. And most of us, they can say whatever they want. We are.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. And as you brought up this whole thing about the means, and now recently the new uproar right now is for myself and told the radio recently about the uproar over the proposed bill about ill-gotten means and profits from ill-gotten means.
I have it here
and
for
now
discussion.
of course you know with all government it's always we either do nothing for many years, and then when we do something it's the most extreme hammer you could possibly drop, right? And so of course, true to fashion, it doesn't matter which administration it's in, it's just the way that we settle things.
Correct.
In extreme fashion, we are now proposing a bill that is very unconstitutional because we're saying by suspicion.
Are we proposing or has it passed the House?
I don't know if it passed the House, but wherever it is in the grand scheme of becoming a law, it's on the track to becoming a law, right? And you're saying by suspicion, you should be able to seize my property by suspicion of ill-gotten means, which means you're not so sure where I get my money from. You're not even asking me if my money is illegal. You're not granting me the chance of due process. You're not allowing me my chance to be seen and heard in court and my day in court and all of that. And then you're saying by suspicion, you can seize my property. No. I did some research because I know a lot of people are in uproar about it. So people, let me put your fears at rest. Any government in any country could pass any amount of asinine laws as they want to. The courts of the land have to uphold the law. And the courts are tasked with making sure that laws are just, fair, and constitutional and do not violate our civil rights and our natural rights. That law violates some of our civil rights, some of our natural rights, and then definitely is unconstitutional. So it cannot be held up in court. So whoever worrying about...
You are so right.
Whoever worrying about it, right? Don't worry about it because all you need is one lawyer with any kind of sense to write. Case dismissed because this is unconstitutional, blah, 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 end of story. Go and refer your case under the right grounds and then we could have a conversation. I'm
really glad you said that because it's so true. I remember it was a year ago, or when the VIP had just came in, they adjusted they brought forward the what is it? The law on gosh, I don't want to call it the wrong thing, but media communications. It's basically silencing the media, social media people, etc., etc. And a few people reached out to me.
Muzzle in the media.
Right. So a few people reached out and they were like, "Oh my God, do you see what they're doing?" Da 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 da. I said, "Muzzling." I said that law means nothing to me given on my constitutional rights. So you're absolutely right. And they were like, well, I said your constitutional right trumps everything. Period.
Yeah, there's
okay.
certain things that just
they can bring whatever they want. I'm like
correct.
Whatever. If you come to my door, we're gonna have a battle.
I learned a lot of things about the law simply from exposure. If you get thrown into court over different legal cases, whether you're a lawyer, yes or no, just by having to go through the process and having either side of the attorneys explain the process to you, you become very familiar. My cases with my family over my land and estate. Oh yeah, man, I a bush lawyer when it comes to land stuff. Whenever I meet up anybody with any kind of problem that halfway similar to mine, and I tell them straight, okay, you need to go and get a lawyer, but even before you go and get a lawyer, go lock up all the land by cautioning everything so nothing can happen. And then go find your lawyer, because once you do that, whatever I did, them thinking about doing that dead. Because nothing can happen to that land till you move that caution. And if you have a right to put it, land registry won't stop you from filing that caution. If you have a legal right to file that caution. So yeah, man, I learned quick and fast, but people need to familiarize themselves, empower yourself, and don't, to me, like the most infuriating thing about the debate over that law was people saying dumb stuff like, oh, don't be asking me where I get my money from. My hard working. If your money clean, you're supposed to be able to answer about it. You shouldn't feel offended if a man asking you about it. This is international compliance. I keep telling us we are playing in big markets with tourism and finance, and therefore we got to line up every other duck in the road to be playing in the markets.
Correct.
So if you're going to build a big house and things like that,
if we can...
make sure you do it the right way.
For me, it's not just us. For me, it's everybody. If you come in here to buy an island, or you're spending money, you're giving government money
from.
I really need to know where you're getting your money. And certain people seem to be getting a pass, and I'm not for that. I continue to say, for me, crime and corruption has no color.
No.
So this isn't about black, and it's not about white. It's about crime and corruption. And it's happening across the board in the BVI, and it needs to be stamped out, period.
You know the only distinction between the colors in crime? The level of finance that goes with the colors in crime, as you know. That's it.
Facts.
That's the only distinction.
Facts.
As and the races change, the finances increase. That's it. That's all. And there's no difference. So if you have, if you have people of a different ethnicity coming in here with a criminal background, chances are them playing in an even bigger pool and pond than our local criminals. And we ain't nowhere near their level.
Facts. So as we move on from this for now, I'm just going to give that appeal one more time to the government on behalf of my people.
Please
because
produce
they've
a
had
list.
me.
Please produce a list.
They've asked us to ask you to produce
the list
for the people. It is their business, and they would like to know.
See? And before I even put the handle on your name, so you produce the list. The handle.
Produce the list for us. We want to see the list. You want to be transparent.
If it's
inauthentic,
you said you're
transparent, make it happen. I want to get on to the COI this week for sure. But quickly, the whole BVI Airways fiasco, what is your take on that? The past premier, Dr. Smith, has said that he feels vindicated. What are your thoughts?
Nothing is ever... When I saw that situation, I knew that nothing was ever going to come of it, because nothing ever comes of our cases here in the BVI.
Do you think that there was something to come of it, though? I kind of don't either. I'm going to tell you, I honestly feel like...
It was just nice. It was just nice. Okay.
So do you think Andrew owes this territory an apology?
Okay, let me have to listen. Follow me a little bit for 2 seconds, right? So I heard the Honorable Minister on the radio this morning talking about the negativity of the media, and we are country built on negativity, and how we the
Which minister was that?
Mr. Whitney. Are we the concentrate?
Okay.
Are we the concentrate on is negativity, right? Now, let's have the honest conversation in this moment right now. Our politics is built on negativity. Our campaigns are built on slinging money at the next side.
Correct.
And showing the other people, he an idiot, he spend half all the money. I'm not an idiot, I'll spend less money. He an idiot, he take the money in front of your eye. That's all they do. That's all they do. They sling
I mean,
money.
look at Shawande. Every time I open my mouth, Shawande tries to throw something negative at me. I'm bitter. I'm this. So yeah, we are built on negativity.
They sling mud at the next side, which is how politics is built, right? So it's funny to me that at one point you are an activist, being the same one who was slinging mud to show people
and marching every 2 seconds
and trying to enlighten the people. And now you find you said you became a part of government to change the system. So here's what happens when you have a platform. I am well aware that when I stand on this platform, as much as I might enlighten people and as much as I might bring awareness people, I am also widely open to every attack that could possibly come at me professionally, personally, and whatever hearsay anybody could come at me with, because I am now.
You've made yourself a public voice.
I have made myself a public voice and a public figure, and so therefore I am also something that can be knocked down. That's just part of the job. You knock me down and put myself back up. Knock me down and put myself back up. And if you're a real politician, you understand that's the game. You don't worry about the negative publicity, and you shouldn't even worry about criticism. Further to that, you're an English teacher. You're supposed to know all criticism, good and bad, supposed to help you get better. So you shouldn't be worried about what negativity you hearing. The negativity supposed to make you say, I need catch myself, I need do better, I need drive my party to do better. Or them catch me with my pants down by, yeah, that's a bad mood, that's a bad look. But that don't never happen with us, because we young, we immature, and we petty, and nothing don't change. Are we to get mad at this? Oh God, what you saying that for? What you making me look bad? And nothing don't change. Nothing changes. And
nobody takes responsibility for the action. It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah, man. We pass the buck hard. It's so funny, right? Like I find like in the same House of Assembly, leader of the opposition asked the Honorable Minister again, what are the qualifications needed for board members? And I find it as a joke that the minister say there were never no qualifications. Now, I don't know if there's any actual written anything in place, but for my 20-something years in government, these were the written or unwritten rules. The unwritten rules that I know. You had to have prior knowledge in the field. You had to no longer be in the civil service or the direct service of the field.
How are you going to make decisions on something that you have no clue about?
Exactly. So
it makes no sense.
So I don't know what. Now, to be honest, we all know that they have politicized them and have now put appointments on the board to push their agendas that have nothing to do with the field, which is, of course, why we cripple now. We have people on the tourist board that know nothing about tourism. Right? We have garbage men on the airports authority board. Literally telling people you've never flown a plane, you don't know how to fly a plane, you never walk in an airport, you never work for airport management, you never did anything with civil aviation, but yet you are now qualified to tell the people them who run the airport how to run the airport when you are a garbage man and a heavy equipment operator. That's what you do.
This wasn't gonna come up, Kishma, but since you're on boards, right? I just want to throw this in here quick before we do the COI. What is Vance's position at the TRC?
I don't know. You don't ask me before you make me bite my tongue and tell a lie and get in trouble.
Is he
I do not know.
Chairman of the board?
I don't know.
Something like that?
I don't know.
I can't remember his position.
I don't know what's happening at the TRC.
Okay. Do you know that his brother is now the COO
of
TRC?
Okay.
So, yeah, these are the things when we continue to talk about.
It's Queen Latifah had the song, it's a family affair. It's a family affair.
I don't even know what to call it because You see, this is when people get upset when you say that they're put in positions to be yes people in that type of person, right? To me, why would you be the head of the board? I want to think that that's what he is. And your brother, I understand, has been
Chief Operating
Officer. Okay, Judge Lewis, I think his name was. He was at cable TV or
Cable and Wireless.
Cable and Wireless.
Line Flow for a lot of years. They both were at Flow for a lot of years.
Yeah, your brother has been appointed as the COO. You're the head of the board. How does that work?
Well, they say in the same office where I pick them off so nicely say, well, Kevin stood down and leave his brother get hang out to dry.
But Kevin removed himself, removed TRC from under his portfolio because his brother is there.
Well,
right?
So things happen here.
No, things don't happen. And I'm not somebody that accept that things happen.
I don't accept it either, but that's what happened here.
I am expecting in very short order to see a press release that says that he's interim and they're bringing someone else, or Vance is resigning his position. Because if it's not the case, then we have a serious problem with integrity in the BVI. A serious problem. And it continues to go on. So who keeps who in check there? Who keeps who in check?
You know, I would...
Yes, the BVI is a small place, but in positions like those, if you can't find somebody that's outside of somebody's very closest family, then bring somebody in to sit in that position. I don't mind. But to me, it sends a very strong message that you can be the head of the board and your brother can be the chief operating officer.
Well,
it's embarrassing. We just have... There's nothing in us that make us stand up and say, oh boy, this is wrong. Let me resign and get somebody else to run the board. Or let's bring in somebody to this position.
Cindy, we don't have we lack this award that I keep throwing out there. We don't have integrity. A lot of us only talk about it. I'll use myself as a reference. I was once on a multi-million-dollar development. And I was the architect on the job and the project manager on the job, and the development required engineering. Now, I can do some engineering. I can't do everything. When I see what was required of the project, I coolly tell the client, you need to go hire an engineer. Now, I could have do like a lot of people and go in, model how I can to collect that extra $50,000. But for me, my name and my integrity was worth more, because this multi-million-dollar house with this engineering marvel that they were going to do, when this thing break off, there's my name going down in the garbage.
Correct.
And the amount of money I make back then after this for me, in my mind and my rationale, it made more sense for me to safeguard my name and have the development of success than to suck more money being greedy and have the development as a possible failure.
Exactly.
And the problem with us in society is that we don't look for solutions. We don't admit that something is beyond us. We are too greedy, and we just like to sit down and grumble, and we don't want to further.
Exactly.
For me, I want us, like I use my lives, I keep saying to folks, come and farm the think tank. If you have ideas, come and talk to me. Come and talk to Cindy. We are don't mind how you see us going back. We are very friendly people. We have sat at the pack and been held hostage 2-3 hours at a time by people who just come share ideas and stories.
Yeah.
As I keep saying, let's stop waiting on the government.
Absolutely.
Fix our country.
Absolutely.
Let's farm the bodies. Let's come with the ideas. We have the ideas amongst us on how to make tourism work. We had a better re-entry plan than what the government came with. And so let's start working on the solution and stop highlighting the problem. We all know the problems. BVI public, y'all know the problems. Let's stop talking about the problems and let's start talking about the solutions.
Yeah. Let's try to bring the territory up to date quickly on the COI. We tried to get to it last week and we didn't. And I also want to talk about that appointment at Immigration that's coming up apparently. So my guys, give me a little extra 5 minutes if I need it tonight. Just work with me. Or viewers need it. Okay, the COI, there are some updates that have been happening. I think there was even some today. And some of those are the COI is expressing concerns about government's parallel internal review. Which means, we've talked about this before, where the government, Kishma set up this body.
Right.
For you to come talk to them first before you talk to the COI to make sure that what you're telling the COI is actual information that can leave government. I've never heard more
foolishness in my life.
Rugudu in my life.
Foolishness.
Okay? Nonsense. So the Commission of Inquiry has expressed major concern about that, which they should. And to me, that should show them how actually corrupt and don't care our system is.
Cindy, I got a joke for you. So my 15-year-old son told me, Mommy, I figured it out. On the road up the country road that they're fixing, this is what happened. They have to do the road, then they do the wall, then they do the slipper drain, you know, stretch out the walk to don't make it look obvious that they're thieving the money. He's 15 years old. What can I tell him at 15 years old if this is what he's saying?
You're making me laugh, but I don't mean to laugh because
15. He said, and this is what he said. He said, Mommy, I figured it out. They build a wall, then they build a road, then they build a curb wall.
And then they dig it up and build it again.
Yeah, that's what he said. They said, and then look, when they finish, they're going to break off something and do it all over again. So that they don't make it look so bad that they're stealing the money. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we have that. And then last week I saw where, I think it's Minister Shari De Castro, Andrew continues to put her to ask questions about the process of the COI. It's pretty hilarious. But anyway, she was going to be asking who is paying for the COI. Well, I want to know where the $3 million that they're paying withers. Is that all money or is that the VIP's money?
I don't know.
Okay, and why is it paid out? Maybe they can tell us that while they're trying to figure out who's paying for the COI.
It'll probably be all money, just like we spent money on that Trinidadian lawyer that got. It was Trinidad the lawyer was from.
For Julian?
With with the swearing in and
Can I tell you how I love that lawyer though? But anyway, on a serious note, I would love to know the work for the breakdown and the work with that $3 million that our government they haven't needed a lawyer yet, as far as I know. I mean, they got some advice from them on setting up this Ask Me First committee, but besides that, I don't know, and I'm inquiring as a citizen as to how my money is being spent. The other two things that came out is the COI is anxious to hear the views of the House of Assembly members on governance. So I think they have written to them for them to give them their view on what good governance is and should be. And he's awaiting to hear from them. He's giving them an opportunity. And now I'm understanding that the live hearings are gonna be live streamed. And
for the COI?
For the COI, nice. And that you can listen in.
Nice.
You can listen in, and apparently the premiers is not going to be live though. So we're not going to be able to see him squirm, but the others will. Some of the people that have been interviewed before, Claude Skelton, Wade Smith, Ian Penn, the head of the BVI Post Authority Board, Bevis Sylvester, and 2 transcripts have been released already. I know I can hear you guys saying it, that you need to know what's in those transcripts, so I will go and I will read them and bring that information back to you. So that's where we are on the COI for now. There was an appointment, or apparently there is an appointment to the Immigration Department. Deputy Immigration Officer in that position is apparently going to be held by Miss Nadia Deming. What is your take on that quickly?
Oh boy. Immigration is one of the departments with a lot of actors just like Hollywood. And my take on it is, like many other government departments, if you're not gonna allow a person within a year's time, you know whether or not you're gonna give this person a job. Stop having people acting for prolonged periods only to have them replaced by someone else, because it's very disheartening to the person who works in that position, and it's demoralizing. It's not it's not good for your staff.
It is.
I good enough to act and do all your grunt work, but you don't want to give me the job with the title, with the affirmation and the pay. But then you bring somebody in, and chances, and because I know government so well, she gonna have to train them. She gonna have to train
I
them.
totally understand. Of course, information has been coming into me about this position, and I allegedly I'm told that she was handpicked for the position, and they were going to put her into the position, and there was an uproar, and so they decided to advertise it, but she was going to get the position anyway. I mean, you have some senior staff inside of immigration that has been there, like you said. They have put
who's been
themselves forward. There are those who are even going for their doctorates. They've acted as deputy. They've acted as the head of immigration, and it's unfortunate that these people continue to be overlooked, and this kind of low morale is still going through the thing, and we have these political appointments that are just embarrassing to us. There's more information that I have coming on that appointment and other things that have been done in a bit of not so good dealings with, you know, the regularization of people through those same means, and we're going to talk about that next time. We're going to go on that word. Thank you for tuning in tonight. This season is going to be an exciting one. I have told you we have some great topics and guests for you this season. This is going to be one of our more exciting seasons as we head deeper and deeper into the COI as things heat up. We're definitely gearing up to the campaign season. We're calling it campaign season because
we go live.
We're heading into the campaign season.
We gonna live,
and we're gonna turn the fire up on that. We want to take a look at what could emerge. We set the tone for what could emerge, but overall, keep you informed and a part of the conversation. And of course, you, us, Kishma, we're all together. We're gonna take this territory and we're gonna try to turn it into the right direction. Have a good night and rest of the week, and I'll see you next week.
You know what?